A known issue with the precision boats is this locker lid right here. So this is the starboard battery locker, and from the factory it doesn't come with latches, so it's just loose on there. And if the boat were to capsize to the starboard side, potentially this locker could open up. And when you open it, it's basically access to the cabin. So this goes all the way into the starboard side quarter berth, and then the storage area that's in the stern. So there is at least one case of a Precision 18 sinking in the Chesapeake, and it's believed that this is what caused that sinking. So I've already added latches to mine, but the lid itself doesn't seal up to this opening. And so what I really want to do is I want to add some material that'll create a watertight seal, or pretty close to it. So what a lot of people do is they create a lid that has maybe latches, or some people take a piece of plexiglass and actually bolt it down and seal it, and then put inspection ports so that way you can reach through the inspection port and still access this area. Or maybe have a lid that you can unlatch and then access the area. But what I really want to do is I want to have it integrated to the lid, so that when I open it up, it's the piece that I add is going to stay with the lid, and that way I'm not moving something else or opening a second port. So I thought long and hard about this. I thought about using wood. I thought about creating like a little frame and filling it with spray foam and then covering it with something else, using styrofoam, maybe having something laser printed. And the issue really is that the opening is at an angle, and so the lid is flat, it's horizontal, and then the opening is at an angle, and then you also have this beveled edge in the top of the lid. And so what I came up with, just on a whim, so I have about 5 of these throwable cushions, and I had one that was in pretty rough shape. It had a bunch of staining and some holes, and so I decided to cut it open and see what was inside. And sure enough, what I found was a whole bunch of nice thin layers of flotation foam. And when I thought about using foam on my locker lid, the issue was, how do I contour it, right? Like, how do I shape it so that it follows the contours of this lid? And I think by stacking individual layers and cutting them each individually, and then adhering them all together, I'm going to be able to create something that is the right shape to fit inside this lid and fill this gap. And so once I do that, I'm gonna start cutting these things, glue them all together, and then my plan is to use this contact paper. So this is like a shelf liner type stuff, but it's impermeable and waterproof. And so I'm going to wrap it in this to protect the styrofoam. And so hopefully that'll work well. It won't be maybe the most attractive thing, depending on how it turns out. But I think once this is up against this edge, with a little bit of pressure from the compression of the foam, I think that's going to be pretty waterproof. The other thing that was inside there was all these little pieces, and there's 4 of them, so 2 squares and 2 rectangles. And so that was in there, and I think maybe it's to give the throwable a little bit of weight to it. But I might also use these in my little project here. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so here you can see where I've used a sheet of paper to trace an outline. So that'll be my template for building my cover. Alright, so all the foam is dried, and so that's good. And then I used some of these plastic inserts that were also inside that Type 4 cushion to give the top part a little more structure. And then I ended up just covering that seam with a piece of duct tape. And so now, what I'm going to do is start just folding this up. I've cut the cover to fit already. Alright, so there we go. So now I'm going to use some contact cement. Hopefully this will work, and try and adhere this to the foam that's underneath. Nice. Alright, so the next step is I'm going to go into the quarter berth and see if the new cockpit lid is making a good seal. Oh, I'm stuck. There we go. Alright, so here's my insert for my battery locker lid. That's going to help waterproof it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, since I don't know how well this contact paper is going to hold up, I'm going to go ahead and Velcro it to the top. And that way, you know, I don't have any sticky residue. You know, if this thing starts to flake or peel after a couple years, I can just replace it. So that's the approach I'm going to take. Okay, so this is my final step. All that's really left to do is make sure that it's in the right spot, and then close the lid and get all that Velcro to adhere. Alright, so there you go. A great way to make a cockpit locker lid waterproof.